things here. We've finished this part of the sky. This building, we know enough about what we're going to do in order to be able to solve it. Now the last thing we're going to do is work on this foliage area in the foreground. Don't be intimidated by all of this in here. What I'd like you to do is simply to squint at it a little bit, and you'll see that there's a variation in here. You'll see that right here there's a little more shadow right here, and so on. And so what we're going to do is try to break this down into specific shadows and lights and dark areas. First thing I should do is create this whole area right here of this brown that's going to go behind them. Okay, we're just going to leave that as brown. We'll leave it like that, and we can come back later and add other things to it if we need to. You know, make it a little bit darker here, like so that it looks like there's stairs coming up or whatever. We can make this just a little bit darker there. Let's see, we'll add a little bit more color. We can do the same thing right here, just to be able to create the sense of some dimension there. And we're going to call that good for right now, because you'll see what we're going to do here in a moment. The next thing we're going to do is create this whole long section of green right here. So I'm going to select my green here, and make it just a little more yellow. That pull some of that red out and pull a little bit of that cyan out, so we have a little brighter green. And I'm going to start right here and work my way all the way over to here, and then come down at this area right here, because that's going to be the shadow for that. I can do the same over here, although it doesn't look like I need to. Now let's look at it really fast and we'll just see what it's looking like. Okay. And then I put this right here. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking like. It doesn't look that bad. We may need to adjust this a little bit and bring it up so that it overlaps that. But that's going to be fine, I think, in the long run. So we'll go ahead and just select these and swap them all. Now, I'm going to do the trunks. This is a really dark color, but I'm going to keep it as a green color for my base. I'm just going to make it really, really dark. And add lots and lots of black in it, lots of magenta. And now I'm going to zoom in and just come up like this. And that's still maybe a little too green, so I'll darken it up. And I'm going to do this right here, and it's not so important in this area because that tree is going to come over it. Here I'm going to make this. Now let's talk a little bit about the trees. This is going to be a lot easier than what you think. Just kind of follow along and you'll see exactly how easy it's going to be. Let's get this color here. We're going to take this and we're going to pull out some of that color so that now we've got this dark green color. We can kind of see it right there. Okay, I think I'm going to add a little more black to it, darken up just a little bit more. That looks about right. And now what I'm going to do is come around here, just around the base of this, and I'm going to give it a really, just kind of a crazy sort of shape. I'm just going to come up, and I'm going to come up fairly close to it because I need to have that texture, but I'm not going to get too close because I have a brighter green coming around the top. I don't want to. I don't want the whole thing to just seem like that shadow is coming right to the edge. Okay, we're back. Here's our tree. We haven't worried about the top that much. We did worry about the bottom because the bottom had to have that texture. Let's do this section of the tree right here, and you'll see exactly what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start getting lighter colored greens. In this case, I'm going to grab this green, and we'll get rid of the darker stroke around it. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start creating just an interesting texture through here. And I'll just come all the way to the end because it's not that hard. Like that. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm not going to go all the way into those shadows. And I'm going to flop this here. I'm not going to go all the way into the shadows because that's some of that dark color that I created earlier. I want to keep that to be able to establish a texture of trees. Okay, there, now I finished that up. All right, now I've got to get this darker color here because now what I need to do is kind of come in and create some holes in this. You see, let's turn this, let's toggle this really fast. We've got that shape. We need those holes, so we've got to be able to go in and recreate kind of those little gaps in there. And I think I'm going to actually darken this color here in a moment, but I'll do it later. As it is right now, I just want to come in here and make some of these holes in here a little more. Now, what I'm going to do is flip all of these so that we can see what's happening. So I'll select that, select inverse like that, inverse, I'm going to select this, go to select, same stroke color, and just swap that. Now I don't like this color. This is a little bit bright for my taste, so I'm going to add a little bit of magenta in it, and a little bit of black to kind of tone it down a little. Okay. Now I also still need to have those bright highlights on here. I've got to come in here with a little bit lighter green. So I'm going to get this green, and I'm going to get that loaded. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter, a little more of a bright green. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do in some smaller areas like this that are going to create a sense of highlight on it. And in some cases they're going to be large areas. In other cases we've got that light area here. Now we need just those really bright areas. So what we're going to do is get a bright, kind of a bright green right here. And I'm going to come in now in these areas and just do, just in a few places, you know, just a little bit of a highlight. Oops. That will kind of follow, you know, in little bits here and here. Okay, now let's look at how these look. Okay, and we'll probably adjust the colors a little bit, but we'll check and see. So we've got this. We'll go to select, same stroke color, and Shift X. That will toggle it. I'll select this. Push Command 6, so it selects the same stroke color. Shift X will toggle it. Let's select this. Push Command 6, so we have the same color. Shift X will toggle it. Finally, we'll select these. Command 6, Shift X to toggle it back and forth. And now as we zoom out from a distance, now those are starting to articulate as trees. Now, I am going to come in. I don't like this color that much, so I'm going to go to Select, Same Fill Color, and I'm going to add a little more magenta in it just to deepen up, and a little bit of cyan because it just seems like it's too much for me. And that I think is a little bit better. Now, let's look at how the rest of the base of this looks. You can see that it's starting to come along there. Let's select these, push Command 6 so we get the same colors. Oh, that did actually the same fill. Go to select same stroke color, Shift X, swap them, we'll come here. Command 6, select the same fill color, or same stroke color, Shift X, and we've got those. This, Command 6, Shift X, this, let's see, here, Shift X, this, do we have another, we should have another shape in here somewhere. There we go. Shift, Command 6, Shift X. And this is what we're starting to see in the front. Now let's look at it with the rest of the building. I'm going to turn on our building layer. We're going to turn on our sky layer. And this is what it's starting to look like. And it's starting to really articulate as this. Now we only see little bits and pieces here because that's the level of the finish we brought it to. But we are seeing how it's gradually working. And you can even put even a little bit darker. Maybe down here in some places we've got some really dark areas here. You know, that's kind of up to you what you want to do. If you feel like it needs it, a lot of times you do need those little black spots to really punch those shapes a little bit more, but that's sort of up to you. You can decide what you want to do. Now, my last thing to make sure this is all clean and crisp, once it's all done, is I'm going to create a new layer on the very top, and I'm going to create a series of boxes like this. Okay. Now, right now, what they're doing is they just look like pieces of tape or something. But I'm going to turn them to white, and now I've got this great clean edge going around my shape. And it's making it look really, really nice as far as a nice clean edge. Then I'm going to take the template layer and I'm going to throw it out because that takes up a lot of memory. I don't want to have to deal with that. Okay? And then finally, I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to call this Assignment 2 space Howard Fulmer. Actually, we'll say 1400 Assignment 2 Howard Fulmer. I'll save it as an Adobe Illustrator file, or I can save it as a PDF file. Either one will be just fine. PDF will probably make it a little easier to work with, but it will flatten the image unless you save it as an Illustrator file. So maybe Illustrator is the best way to save it. So I go there, hit Save, and it'll give me those options, you bet. Then we have, here we go, 1400 assignment number 2, howardfulmer.ai. And then I can email it to that crazy professor that you've got. He'll give you a grade and he'll send it back with his comments. And then you'll be one step closer to having the semester done. I hope this was helpful for you and you learned it. The next class that we have, or the next video you're going to watch, will be about type and strokes and using type and paths and things like that. And also, we'll start examining a little bit multiple page documents in Illustrator and how those work. Thanks again and good luck. I hope it turns out great.